Hello, Forecaster here, and we are back for episode 138. And first off, there has been an update to the mod pack, and if you have downloaded the mod pack previously, you'll want to update it. Um, so, it turns out that when Forestry updated to, or went to version 4, they changed the configs regarding backpacks. So previously, the backpacks were hard-coded to allow certain items. For example, the vanilla ores, for example, were allowed to go into the miner's backpack, as well as ores from certain mods. And then you had a config where you could add items to the backpacks. Now, there is a new config with a new format, where all of the defaults get written into the config, as well as some OR dictionary values, which the config now supports. So for example, for the miner's backpack, all of the ores are added using the OR dictionary, for example, ore iron. And then you can edit, remove, and add to these definitions as you like. So you can remove the default values if you want, which you couldn't before. Now, it turns out as well that when you migrate from version 3 to version 4, there is some code that is supposed to convert your old config to the new format. But it turns out that this doesn't work very well, because what happened was it would get the names wrong of these sections. So for example, you have two sections in a backpack definition, for example the miner's backpack, and it starts with an S for strings, and then you have a table, and the names, the proper names of the tables are item stack, like that, and ordict, like that. But there were also sections where it had put some of my old items and some of the defaults in item stack and ordict. So the items, or the entries that were under these last two, didn't work. They were ignored by Forestry because they had the wrong names. So all of the entries, so all of the OR dictionary entries for the miner's backpack were under this name, so they were ignored. So iron ore wouldn't go into the backpack, for example. I also had some lapis in here, and I took a stack out, and I couldn't put it back in. And the same was what happened with the builder's backpack. So that's a thing. So if you want the backpacks to work in the mod pack, you will want to re-download it, or download it, download the new version, which will fix those issues. There's also an update to my MineTweaker scripts, which add recipes for making this stuff, which I'm not sure I can pronounce. The only way to make this by default with Railcraft 2, which is what adds this, is to cool down lava using a heat exchanger. But this can be handy for filling in holes because it hardens into a solid block. The source blocks do. So if you use a floodgate from Railcraft to fill a hole with this stuff, it will fill the hole with a solid block because it will harden eventually. So I wanted a way to make this stuff. So I've added recipes for melting down basalt and regular stone. Now, technically, you shouldn't be able to melt down regular stone into this because it is or it should only be basalt. But for now, I'm having these in here because I don't know how if I'm going to run out of basalt if I decide to use this at some point. It's probably not likely. But also, according to the Industrial Craft Wiki, this lava is 1,200 degrees. So I set that as the required melting point, which is supported by the crucible furnace, of course. So those are the changes. Now, the miner is completely done. You can see that it says Y level 0 here, which is not a thing. It would be just below the bottom of the world. That means it's done. It's also turned red here without the lever being on, so you'll notice that there's still a tiny bit of power left. So it turns out that just under 2 million energy units was enough to finish this mining operation, which I did not expect. What I also didn't expect is this. We have a lot of iron. I expected maybe 2 stacks or so, and I certainly didn't expect this or this. Now I have used my mining catalog and included these 2 blocks, as you can see, by the particles. And we'll see that I got 152 blocks of iron ore from this operation and 116 redstone, which is very nice, plus some other stuff, 14 diamonds, 15 gold ore, some ender dust, a little bit of lapis, some poor tin ore. So I must have struck an iron vein, which was extremely lucky. Very, very lucky. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave the miner here. And I'm going to make an OV scanner at some point, and I'm going to put it in here and restart it so that it mines in a wider area, and because there might be more iron here depending on how much of the vein I caught. Some of it might be outside of the area, and the range of the OD scanner is 8 blocks, as you can see here, obviously, because that is how far out from the miner it has gone. But yeah, so now we have a lot of iron. Quite a lot more than I expected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this out and pick it up and take these as well, and most of this stuff, and it looks like that's all I can carry for now, so I'll leave the rest. I'll head back into the base. Also, I think that the advanced miner uses the power in the scanner first, and then grabs, or then uses its own buffer to recharge it. Now, if this is true, and it uses the scanner power for everything, including teleporting the blocks, then I could get away with keeping a very tiny bit of power in the buffer, because it still has the all of the power in the scanner to work with, which I obviously don't lose when I pick it up, because the scanner will keep its charge and drop as an item, or I can take it out. So yeah, that might be the way to go regarding that. So we're going to check on the power situation over here. Seeing as the base is trunk loaded, it should have charged my power storage, my batteries, or my power banks while I've been away. There's not much power there, but this is almost full, which is good. It seems we just caught it filling up, which is nice. So I will probably hold off on processing all this other ore. I will, because I have quite a lot of that as it is. I will focus on processing the iron, because that is what I need. So we're going to start putting iron into the ore processing system. So this rock crusher, essentially. And it is going to drain its buffer quickly, and the tiny little electrical engine over there is going to struggle to keep up with it. We might want to actually re-enable the boiler, really. It's going to take a while to heat up, of course, but I do think that it is going to we can leave this on for now, but it is going to be worth it to process all of this ore, because it's going to take ages to do without the both without the engines powering the rock crushers, or this rock crusher, and the turbine powering these, because these are going to run out of power eventually, because they are going to start draining my power banks here like crazy, probably. Yeah, see, this is pretty much emptied already, and this is probably going to follow soon. So definitely time for the boiler. We're going to disable this for now. We can put the diamonds away. So the plan now is to upgrade the reactor system, of course, the coolant processing, to get more power out of the coolant, and as a result, the nuclear fuel, the nuclear cells. So we are going to want some things. We are going to want a, let's see, where is it? There it is. A steam generator, which is pretty simple. Some iron item casings, which we'll be able to make plenty of later, and a copper boiler. Copper boiler is copper item casings. I think we're going to want to make 2 of these. Maybe. Maybe we'll make 1 set to start, and make more later. We're also going to want not a blast furnace. We want, where is it? Not that. what's it called? The turbine. It should be among the kinetic machinery, which is actually up here. Let's see. Stirling kinetic generator. That's not it. Kinetic steam generator. That's the one. That is steel item casings. The shaft, which another boiler, and a universal fluid cell. So we're going to need some steel eventually. We're also going to want an electric kinetic generator. This one, which is pretty simple. It's a regular generator, an iron item casing. We are also going to want a condenser, which is not that. It's not that. I wonder where the condenser is hiding. Sometimes it's difficult to tell these blocks apart. I'll find it eventually. We don't need it right now. We do need some water, though, apparently. So we are simply going to have to wait for all of these ores to process. And once they have started to come through, we can start making things. We'll probably not be able to finish in this episode. Let's see how things are doing over here. These machines are running. The power is keeping up still, which essentially means that we still have a buffer over here. Yeah, these have started to drain again, and once this runs out, the centrifuge will stop working properly and will essentially continuously drain the power output, any excess power, without actually doing anything. So we're going to want to avoid that. Let's see, do have some dusts building up in here. Let's see how the boiler is doing. It has started producing steam, and it is almost at the pressure required to start outputting. So we are going to want to take this gate and put it back here. And we're going to want to set it to power requested, so that both of our engines can start working as soon as possible, and steam will also go into our turbine. There we go. Things are starting to get back up and running. Should be plenty of the rotor left once we start getting some steam over here. I think it will want to fill these engines up first, I guess. I guess it will fill them up in order, maybe? Right, so the boiler will start producing more steam as it heats up. So it's not producing enough steam at the moment to power all of the devices yet. But it probably will by the time we start to run low on power, hopefully. So let's have a look at the steam generator. Copper boiler. So we're going to want 4 copper ingots for... Right. They are going in here. Let's lock this again. This will get us 4 plates, which will get us 4 casings, or 8 casings. Then we need 7 casings, which means that we need at least 4 iron ingots. Do we have any here? No. Oh, okay. Let's grab some dust from here and put that in here manually. That will get us the iron ingots we need. For that, we need a heat conductor, which is 3 copper plates. So get 3 more of those. Let's go upstairs and process these copper ingots while we wait for the iron. And there's a dramatic thunderstorm, apparently. Don't know, I have a piece of rotten flesh. This should be pretty quick with that. The nugget buffer should be full, so the ingots go straight in here, which is absolutely correct. So let's bring these up, and once the copper ingots are done, we will also process the iron ingots. Yes, indeed. So I'm probably going to do, or I am going to do a lot of this off camera, making the components for the blocks, and then in the next episode we are going to assemble it all and then go downstairs to the reactor bunker and set it all up. There we go. We're actually going to want to roll these again to get the item casings. Although 3 of these plates are going to go to the heat exchanger, or what's it called? Heat conductor. Like that. Which makes sense. Well, actually, if the boiler is made of copper, it should conduct heat pretty well on its own, you would think. That's kind of what copper does. Copper is a very good heat conductor. So is iron, I suppose. Yeah. So there's going to be lots of crafting, like similar to this, that you will not have to sit through because I'm going to do it off camera, like I said. And we're going to do the more interesting stuff in the next episode on camera. It's going to involve setting up replacing the Stirling generator downstairs with the boiler, and then assembling the rest of the required machinery on top of that. Actually, maybe we should just go to high pressure, or superheated... What was that? Superheated steam right away, which would require 2 steam generators, 2 kinetic generators. That would allow us to get as much power out of the reactor as we can, using the same amount of fuel, of course. And with the amount of iron I've found, we might as well, I guess. Yeah. I should really have the ores come up, or the ingots come upstairs, shouldn't I? Have these drawers up there instead, so I don't have to run downstairs all the time. Be a little more convenient, I think. Yeah, so I'll probably do that, so I'll essentially have to craft double the things. We're also going to need some pipes and such. What did I want the iron? I had some sort of lag spike there. But yeah, so in the next episode, I'll have most of the things ready. We're going to assemble the final components, the final blocks, and then we're going to set it all up, like I said. So, with that, I will see you in the next episode.